Well, the ACCC, of course, is one of the most feared regulators in Australia. In the current financial year to date, its cases have accumulated $620 million of fines and penalties. Now the Competition and Consumer Watchdog is refocusing its attention to sustainability, to the cost of living, to essential services and utilities, to aviation and to the digital economy. Gina Cass-Gottlieb is the chair of the ACCC. She's outlined all of these priorities today and joins me now. Gina, always great to chat to you. Is there a significant change or shift in the way in which the ACCC will emphasise its efforts into the future?
Ross, we are very conscious of these three key shaping influences that are coming to us from the community, and we're seeing them in the economy. They're the existential needs of the net zero transition. They are the opportunities and disruptions of the digital economy. And finally, of course, for all members of the community, their cost of living pressures. And these are shaping our priorities this year, and they particularly are resulting in a very careful focus on the essential goods and services, the importance of pricing practices in relation to them, and clarity of representations that are made, because now more than ever it is important that we have strong competition in the sectors that produce essential goods and services, and that we have absolutely accurate representations of price to protect consumers, small businesses and the economy as a whole.
OK, so we go to the issue of the consumer and the way in which the consumer gets a better deal, and the most efficient pricing possible is by more competition. And these are the two mandates that the ACCC has.
They are critically. We are to both maintain and promote vigorous competition, which of course delivers more choice, better services and quality, more innovation, and of course downward price pressure. Also, we are mandated to look to fair trading to protect small businesses, and underlying everything, it is to align, we hope, a profit motive with more competition, resulting in better prices and services for consumers, and to protect those rights of consumers.
OK, but you have never shied away from encouraging government to change law to make business more efficient, to prevent those duopolies or monopolies occurring in Australia. But Australia has always been known as the land of the great concentrated market power. Do you see any sense that this is shifting?
We are very concerned about sectors that have increasing concentration and are not delivering as vigorous competition. We have a number of sectors this year where we have particular focus. They are supermarket sector, aviation sector, and continuing to look at energy, telecommunications and financial services. These sectors produce essential goods and services for small businesses and for consumers, and we are looking closely at the strength of competition and also the accuracy of pricing and product and service representations, because now more than ever we need that strong competition and clear protection of consumers and small businesses in the current economic environment.
And of course, the areas that you are regulating don't just go to our major capital cities. So a person living in the middle of a major capital city might consider they're well serviced for supermarkets, for utilities, for telecommunications. But if you live in a regional area, you might not see the same picture. That's also true.
It is also true, and one of the great benefits of the market monitoring that we're asked to do, supermarkets will be an example, last year childcare was a very good example, is that it gives us the time, the compulsory information gathering powers to look very closely at the provision of services and the state of competition, not only in metropolitan areas but in rural and remote areas. Our supermarkets issues paper that was released last week on the 29th of February, available on our website, together with a consumer survey, please answer, draws out that we are going to look at the differing levels of competition in the rural regional areas as well as in metropolitan areas. In relation to childcare, Ross, we've spoken before, we identified adequately served major metropolitan areas, underserved rural areas, and then unserved remote areas, and identified the differences in terms of competition and also the differences in terms of the community need, which led to the need for different regulatory responses from government in order to meet the needs.
I can't let you go without asking you about the supermarkets and the inquiry that you will hold. It's been a long time since there's been an inquiry into the supermarkets in Australia. If for no other reason, it's a good way to basically test and examine the supply chains, the supply agreements that they have, and the way in which they try to exert market power in that sector along with pricing power.
The key directions that we have under our terms of reference that we will be pursuing are, firstly, what have been the changes in competition in the time since the ACCC last looked at this in 2008, looking at the position of the smaller and independent supermarkets, the entry of Aldi and Costco, a technological change, at the question of the scale, effectiveness and efficiency of the two major supermarkets. So firstly, what have been the changes in competition and how do consumers see the impacts of those changes? Secondly, we are very closely going to look at pricing from the farm gate to the supermarket shelf, looking at costs, the various stages of the supply chain and where margins are taken, so that we can answer the questions that are very squarely being put to us about prices, costs and margins, and where margins are being taken through the supply chain.
I'll tell you what, Gina Cowscott-Lieb, it is always great to catch up with you, and many thanks for your time today.
It's a pleasure, Ross. Always good to be with you.
And of course, you can fill in that survey for the ACCC at accc.gov.au. They'll be very appreciative of any feedback.